Okay, what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis. On the screen of the pairs will be analyzing today, but try to stay to the end of the video because I will be throwing in a bonus pair at the end, so make sure you do stay to the end to find out which pair that is. But like always, guys, if you are enjoying the content, leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff to make sure you're in the loop and you don't miss out on any videos in the future. But without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so first up, Euro USD. So as you can see for this pair, some nice downside momentum, which was expected. Coming into the week, we were bearish, looking for that next low high, 4 moves to the downside. Hand out a couple levels we were looking to sell from. One was all the way up here, and another one was here. And we just missed this level here by a few pips. As you can see, we worked into this area, just missed it by a few pips, and then tanked to the downside, but we still haven't hit the target yet. So I'm still expecting more downside for Euro USD until we come out and take out this wick and even that monthly wick as well on the higher time frames. But I'm still expecting more downside. You can see came so close to take out that wick. Now we've got a bit of a bullish engulfing there, so we might see some upside for Euro, but nonetheless still looking for selling opportunities. Have a nice level of support there, was resistance briefly on Friday, and I'm still expecting the market to head lower. So the two levels I'm going to be focusing on this week will be this level here, and now that we've formed that lower high, we just increase the size of that level there and that level there up there. So 1.04900 we're looking at, and 1.06, those are the two levels I'm looking at for sales. Not interested in any buys whatsoever really for Euro USD. We might see some upside coming into these areas. If we can do another wick, we might see some nice buys maybe on the lower time frames, 30-minute, 15-minute. But the real swing and where the who's in control of the market, you know, it's definitely with the sellers. So that's the direction I want to be trading in. So 1.04900 and 1.06, looking for sells from those areas. If we end up breaking through both those areas, I'll probably just be neutral for Euro USD, because at that point we might be looking for the reversal, because we are still trading at that monthly support. But for now, coming into next week, only still looking for sells, and targets is the low of this wick down there on the left at 1.03500. So that is the plan next week for Euro USD. Okay, so now on to USD JPY. So again, USD JPY pretty much the same as last week. Some upside followed by some downside later stage of the week. We tried to create some new highs. Well, technically we did on the low time frames. You can see with that wick there on that daily candle, we did create some new highs there. But it was short-lived. Price came back down, rejected that level, and see some downside. And you can see if I go to the weekly candle, you can see we are losing momentum here. 1 wick, 2 wick, 3 wicks, we're losing momentum, and the size of the candles are getting smaller. So I'm actually expecting, well, still expecting to see some downside for USD JPY. We're still trading at this monthly level here at 135, 136. You can see here we spiked into this level and had a big tank to the downside, all the way back down to 102. So I'm not expecting anything crazy, but the market's been very bullish. I'm expecting us to see, you know, some downside, at least a wick to the downside or a bearish candle. Indeed, we can still head a lot higher, but I do think we can see some profit taking here, some sellers getting back involved, buyers backing out, waiting for price to pull back, and then maybe stepping back in later after some bigger retracement. So I'm still looking at some sales for USD JPY. We're still struggling to break through this level, and I'm just going to wait for confirmation here. So pretty much the same analysis from last week coming into this week. This is my area of concentration for USD JPY. See nice resistance, one over there, second time, third time there, fourth time there, but we broke above. So I'm looking for us to start throwing some wicks back into this area like we did over here. Now I do think we can see a nice decline. I'm still looking at a retest of this level here, since we came so close to retesting it with this drop here but just missed. So I do think we have still a reason and an incentive to still move lower, come and retest that level, or at least that support there. You know, depends where you want to push the trade to. And this level here will be an interesting place for TP. So this is the trade I'm looking at for USD JPY. I'm looking at the next lower high, because we've got one high there, second high, failing to break through that, giving us equal highs Now I'm looking for that first lower high to form somewhere, back up into this resistance. That would be nice, and then target 1, target 2, target 3. But yeah, still looking at that bearish bias, still failing to break through that 135 zone ish. So yeah, lower high looking for at around 1.35 for next week, and targets back down at 131 for next week. Okay, so now onto USD CAD. So USD CAD has been a little bit sideways, really not too much. You can see on the daily chart there, you just draw a box around those candlesticks. We haven't really done much for USD CAD this week, but we're still trading at a very critical level of support here on the left. And it's the same support which I said last week. If we break through this, I do think the floodgates can open, and we can see a move back down into these areas down there. Reason being, we still got this kind of larger ascending channel here on the daily chart for USD CAD, and if you just see another completion, another swing of this channel, you would expect us to be coming right back down to these areas. However, we are still hanging on to that support for dear life, and if that's the case and we reject it again, because it looks like with that last 4H candle closure, if we reject this support again, then I'm actually going to expect USD CAD to head in the opposite direction back into these highs up here on the left. Reason being, I'm still bullish on the dollar. I'm still expecting dollar strength. Everything on the dollar is still looking to the upside, and obviously USD CAD is a dollar pair. So if my analysis on the dollar is correct, you would expect to see USD CAD head higher, as long as CAD is not doing anything too crazy. So if you came back again, rejected this, threw some wicks to the downside like we did previously over here on the left, I would expect to see USD CAD head higher, and I will be looking for some long opportunities off the back of that for move back up into that resistance at 1.30600. But if we don't, and we clear this and throw some wicks to the upside of the level, now we'll be looking for those sell entries, because this is our higher low. Technically it's our higher low. We had this strong push, pull back, high low, higher high. Now the market is still reluctant to break through, and we could actually head up higher and see a continuation of that bullish momentum. So I can see the buys and I can see the sells clearly. You just need to see what we do next with that level, and that'll make my mind up for USD CAD. Either which way though, risk towards is looking very, very healthy. To the downside, we've got this consolidation here. That could be a really nice target to have for those sells. Pretty clean price action on the left, so we should see quite a nice move if we can break through that support again, and same to the upside as well. So that is what I'm looking at for USD CAD. We'll see what we do on 1.28655, and from that we'll be looking for buys if we hold the level, but if we can break and retest, we'll look for sells back down into that consolidation at 1.26 for next week. Sorry to interrupt the video, guys, but if you are enjoying the content and you find it useful, make sure you go hit the subscribe button down below, and also make sure you drop a like as well. It really does help the channel out. But anyway, back to the video. Okay, so now onto Euro Pound. So Euro Pound, very, very corrective as of late, bit of a nuisance to trade. But I'm still bullish on this one. We're still creating high lows in the market, even though it looks almost like a range, but we are still giving us high lows, and we are breaking through this strong resistance here, now holding it as support. So for Euro Pound, I'm still expecting to move back up to 0.87. You can see here we've got this trend line giving us those higher lows there. Nice break and retest of that 0.85800 level. I'm still looking for a push back up into this resistance here. So Euro Pound, it looks like we're coming back to retest this level here. If you can hold that, throw some wicks to the downside like we've done previously, looking for the buys for a move to the upside, something like that. Stop loss below the zone, obviously wait for your signals, and then push to the upside like that. If we break through the trend line and break through that zone, then I think we're coming back into this level here where price has collected a lot of wicks in the past and gave us that strong move to the upside. I do think we'll just see price break through that, throw some wicks to the upside back into that zone, and just sell off again to the downside, and this time probably create a proper range for Euro Pound here. But that is my analysis. That's my outtake on Euro Pound so far. As long as we can stay above this trend line and above that support, looking for that next higher low to develop into a push back to the highs. If we snap through, little retest, and then sells back down into 0.84800 for next week. Okay, so now onto AUD/USD. So as you can see, the trends continue. Price snap through this support. I was looking to see if AU can hold this support and see some upside. Reason being, we're at a very strong level in the higher time frames. I'm looking to see if we can snap to the upside from this level here, but at the moment the market is still bearish, and if the trend does continue, I wouldn't be surprised if we head back down to this level of support here, that last support before we had that big drop to the downside due to COVID and a big push back up. That was the last time price was kind of finding some normal technical support there, so I wouldn't be surprised if we do head back down, not head up, head down into this 0.67 area if we do remain below the daily level that we just broken through. So for AUD/USD, if we're still trading beneath this level, I do expect to see more downside unless we close back above, retest it, then we can look for some upside off the back of that. But as of right now, things are still looking very bearish for AUD/USD. Still looking at some more upside for dollar as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if we do see another drive lower. So for AUD/USD, looking for a pullback, which I do think is kind of underway here, to retest this 0.68400 level and then push back down into 0.67200. If we do break above, then there could be some buys. I will be not too aggressive with those buys, reason being we still got all these lower highs to look out for. You might see a nice break and retest, something like this, retest it, and then push into one of these levels here on the left. I wouldn't try and look for the reversal straight away, reason being higher time frames are still pointing to the downside with structure, momentum, trend, everything. So break to the downside, looking for the retest of that at 0.68400. Sells back down to 0.67200. This is what I'm expecting. If we do break above, then we'll look for the retest and buys into 0.69 or 0.69500, depending how far you want to push the trade. Okay, so next up we've got NZD CAD. So NZD CAD this week, more downside, which was expected. We were looking for this to roll over, go and hit that big psychological level at 0.8, and also a monthly wick, which was our target, as you can see. So we just smashed into that pretty well now. So the market is still quite bearish. We're still seeing a lot of bearish momentum here on the monthly. If this does continue, I wouldn't be surprised if we head back down into this next monthly support here. As for me, that's the next target. We could see some retracement now. We might see a bullish month or two retracing and then the move, or we could continue to spill over. What we'll use to judge that is the lower time frames here on the daily, 4H and hourly, but mainly looking at this daily swing low here on the left, because as you can see, this was our price swing low on the left. Now it's turning resistance, and if the market continues to hold that, I would expect to see a move to the downside. Would look for that move down the monthly one go. We got that next psychological level at 0.79, also 0.795 as well. You can look at as a level to pinpoint for your targets. But if we continue to reject that, I would expect to see another lower high form and some more sales to the downside for NZD, just staying in tune with the higher time frames trend structure and continue that bearish move. If we do creep back above that daily low, this low here, start throwing wicks to the downside, use that as support, then we can see potentially that retracement, because we just had that monthly candle closure. We could see a bullish month now, getting back above that, holding that support, could give us that move to the upside for retracement, and levels to look at for targets. Nice support there to work with, resistance, and obviously the low high up there, but I probably wouldn't push that. A bit too aggressive with what the higher time frames are doing. I'll look at 0.81800 at best there. So for me, NZD CAD's main focus here is to see what we do at this level at 0.8, big psychological level. Do we hold it as resistance, that price swing low, or do we break above, use it as support and push through? Either which way, good trades come through. Back down to 0.79 if we hold as resistance, but if you do break above, we'll look for some recovery. 0.81 as the first target, 0.81800 as the second. Okay, so now we've got pound NZD. So another pair that really hasn't done too much. We did see some nice moves from this one on the lower time frames, but you can see on the daily, price is still kind of just consolidating here. But I still do have a bullish price for this one. Still looking for price to go and take out this wick up here at 1.96738. Still looking for price to go and take up that wick there and looking for that higher low. So pretty much still the same price action as last week in terms of the levels I'm looking at to buy from. Got that resistance turn support, which the market's holding, and this support level down here. So as long as we stay above this level here at 1.92750, I'm looking for longs for this one back to the upside. If we can hold this level here, that'd be a great place to go long. And yeah, looking for buys back to the highs. You can push it how far you want to push it. You've got the resistance here going through the chart as well, so that could be a target to look at. But for me personally, 1.96738 is my target up there. If we do break through this, I'll still look for still look for longs at this level here, 1.92750. Back to the upside as well, because that is our higher low here. So if you reject that, could form a bigger double bottom for that bigger recovery to the upside. So for me, pound NZD still bullish on this one, not interested in any shorts. If you do see that move to the upside happen fairly quickly, then yeah, there might be some nice shorts to take it back down again from that strong resistance. But if we're trading in these areas, for me, the buyers are still in control, and the bigger swing, the bigger move is most likely going to be to the upside. So for me, looking for buys from 1.94 back to highs, or 1.92750 back to highs at 1.96738 for next week. Okay, so CAD yen up next. So for this one, still got a bearish bias. For this week, we did see some upside back up into the resistance, but we were still failing to break through. And I said last week, as long as we stay below this level, which we technically did break above, but we failed to, continue. I specifically said if we can get the break and the retest, then we can look for longs. But you can see the retest failed and crept back inside the level. So for me, these are two failed attempts for price to try and break higher. Buyers are still trying to push price higher, but the sellers, are still rejecting price, creeping back below once, a second time there, tried to move again to the upside but failed, and a strong move to the downside. So the sellers for me are starting to gain more control. Don't get me wrong, it's still very much a bullish market, especially in the higher time frames, but we're trading at such a key area in the monthly time frame, which I do think we can see maybe a bearish month or two. From this 106 level, big moves to the downside, so I do think some profit taking will be happening up here. Some sellers will be joining CAD JPY up around this area, so I do think we can see the market drive lower for a little bit, then maybe we can head higher in the next coming months or something like that. But for me, still bearish, and I'm still looking for a drop back into 102, 101. So nice little target here, 103,500, and target down here at 102. And as long as we don't break above this level here at 105,825, looking for sales for that big swing to the downside for CAD yen back down into these lows. Because I do think CAD yen needs to go and collect some more buyers, and the buyers will be sitting at these areas of support looking to get back involved. So for me, CAD JPY looking for sales. To be fair, the sell could happen anywhere in here, but if we do see a move back up into that resistance and we failed again for a third time, 1, 2, and 3, looking for that sells on that rejection, and we got multiple targets to aim for. I'll be looking for that full swing back down to 102. But yeah, that's what I'm expecting to happen next week for CAD JPY. If we do go and break through this resistance, then yeah, we most likely head back to highs. Then simple break and retest, you can still take advantage of that. But for me, I do have a bearish bias, and I'm looking for that bearish swing to come into play. So CAD yen for me back down to 102 for next week. Okay, so now on to pound USD, pound dollar. So for this one, more downside this week. Main focus for this one was this level of support, our price swing low here on the left, turn support and turn resistance again. So I was mainly looking to see what happens at 1.22. If we held it, I was expecting to see a move higher, and I was actually expecting the market to give us one more drive higher into this area here. But you can see we snapped through that level this week, retested it, and gave quite a nice sell-off to the downside. But still, yeah, haven't taken out that lower wick there. So I do think we are still due for another bearish leg to go and take out those lows at 1.193. So for me, pound USD, as long as we stay below 1.22, looking for sales for this one. Next lower high, got a trend line starting to develop a little bit here. Got one high up there, second, looking for a third one in this area. And from there, if we can throw some wicks, some nice rejection, we'll look for some sells back down into that level. If we do snap back above, break through the trend line and break through 1.22 as well, throw some wicks to the downside, give us a nice buy signal, and I do think we can see that move back up into that zone I was talking about last week, 1.24500, but only if we do break, break above those areas, get back above that low swing low, sorry, and then we can see that upside, but only if that does happen. But for now, everything's still looking bearish. I'm still bullish on the dollar, so I would expect us to see another drive lower. So yeah, pound USD for me, more downside, back down to 1.193 for next week. Okay, so up next we've got pound CAD. So for this one, our main focus was on this level at around 1.58. We're looking to see if the market will hold this level for rebound to the upside or break through and continue lower. As you can see, after some consolidation at the start of the week, we broke to the downside, formed a lower high here and continued to the downside, hitting that lower target at these lows. So pound CAD still looking quite bearish, but we are still trading at that higher time frame monthly level of support. But we do think we can see some upside from this area. But important thing is, especially after a drop like that as well, but the important thing is not to rush in, because the market structure is obviously still to the downside. But for pound CAD, I do think we can see some upside, some profit taking will happen, and if we can hold this area of support, I do think we can have a drive higher back up into 1.58, since we did break through and never got the retest of that level. So pound CAD, if we can hold that price swing low, looking for some longs back to the upside. And again, I would be looking at this resistance here as a target to be wary of, because we could come up into there, form another low high and drive lower again. So probably want to secure some profit, or better yet, just target that area anyway. But I do see a test of 1.58, because we didn't test it when we did have that, didn't retest it, sorry, when we did have that breakout at the start of the week. So for me, pound CAD, bullish on this one, looking for some retracement back up into 1.58 if we can hold that price from low at 1.55 for next week for pound CAD. And now we'll move on to pound yen. So pound yen, as you can see for this one, we did spill over, which was expected. We were looking for the market to roll over. I did say looking for sells as long as we don't break through that main resistance there on the daily chart, which is these highs here at 168. Saw a nice lower high develop at this area here. I was saying if you could hold this resistance, that could be nice for sell. We kind of broke above, retested it. Broke above, broke back below, retested it, and then dropped. So it's a little bit corrective pound yen's price action, but we did pick up on Thursday. What was that, Friday? I think that was Friday. Picked up on Friday there, big move to the downside coming into this 162 support. So now for pound yen, I do see another move lower, another drive lower. We're starting to, well, we've got these equal highs here on the left, as you can see. We've got that lower high, another lower high, and I'm expecting to see another one form before one more drop to the downside into 160, I believe. Yeah, 160, which is this support here. So really strong support where you can see prices rebounded many times, almost came into there as well. So I'm looking at 160, big psychological level as well. So one more drive higher. I think that pullback is underway right now. Form a lower high somewhere and then get that drop to the downside. Also got a bit of a trend line to look out for if we go and retest that as well. That would be nice. And then yeah, looking for shorts on that break and retest of that strong level there at 164,500, and shorts back down into 160, looking for that swing. If you do break above, then most likely we are going to come back to these highs up here. So again, look for that break and retest, and then your buys back up into the highs up there. But for me, the lower highs are painting a picture, equal highs there. Bears are starting to win this battle here. So I do think we're coming back down to go and fill that wick to the downside. So pound yen, looking at shorts from 164,500 and targets at 159 or 160 for next week. Okay, so now I'm taking a look at gold. So gold rolled over this week. We were coming into the week with a bearish bias, looking for us to come back into this support level here. Reason being, every time gold had a strong move to the upside, we were creating those lower highs. So gold was painting a picture to us. And every time we had that push, we create a lower high, so the sellers were in control and most likely we were going to roll over to the downside. I said there could be some nice buys from this level here. We did see a brief push just to create another lower high, which I said do watch out for, and then we had that big dump to the downside to go and fill that wick and actually come back down to these lows. So gold for me, I'm still bearish on this one, even though we are coming to strong areas of support. Reason being these lower highs here, the failure to break to the upside here, I can't ignore. Price is still painting a bearish bias for me. I'm still looking for sells for another move back down into this wick here, another move back down into those lows. So for me, for gold, it's either we have a retest of the level we're testing right now, which is the prior level of support I was talking about last week. So if we start to hold this level, again, we are trading into this level right now. So pretty much want to be monitoring this level fairly early into the week to see if we can reject it. And then, yeah, sells back down into the wick there at 1786. So basically a break and retest of that level, or we break above that, move a little bit higher, but again, still looking for the lower high. The major highs I'm focused on is these highs up here and this high up there. So these are higher highs. Failed to make a higher high, creating that lower high, taking out these lows here, giving us a lower low. So I believe as long as price doesn't take out this lower high here in the market, we can form a lower high somewhere, maybe around here, and drop again and create another move to the downside. And the main level that I'm focused on for that to happen is this resistance support level here at 1732. So if we fail at that level, we'll be looking at 1732 area for the next lower high, and then one more drop to the downside into those lows, and maybe we even take out those lows and go lower. But just to play it safe, we'll look for another push down into 1786. So this is my bias, that's my plan for gold for next week. And now we've got Bitcoin. So Bitcoin still looking bearish for this one. Coming into the week was looking for a move to the upside from this 20k level of support. As you can see, that level of support failed. Price broke through it pretty easily. Big wick to the upside, rejecting that level. So I'm still expecting to see, if we reject this level, Bitcoin to roll over. If we can get back above, then we can look for push back into the highs up here. As you can see, the last time we held that support gave us a drive to the upside twice into that area. So most likely, if we do get back above again, we'll probably see a drive back to 21,500, maybe into those areas that I was talking about last week as well, but we won't push it too far. Reason being, Bitcoin is still very, very bearish on the higher time frames. And if support is failing on the lower time frames, most likely price is now trading the line for the higher time frames, which is still down, which is why if we reject this level as resistance, sells, well, we have done, but if you come back to that level again, will provide some nice selling opportunities back down to lows. And like I said on my stream, I do think Bitcoin can move back down to 12k into this resistance here before maybe the next bullish cycle commences. So I wouldn't be surprised if you do see another drop, because I do have levels that have remained untested that Bitcoin may go and test in the future. So I won't be surprised if you do see some more downside past this wick here at 17,500. So Bitcoin for me, main focus is that 20k level, big psychological level as well. Get back above that, buys into 21,500. If not, reject it again, which looks like we could come back to it. Reject it again, expecting Bitcoin to push back down to those lows at 17,500 for next week. And lastly, our bonus pair, which is USD ZAR. So USD ZAR is an exotic pair, but it does move quite similar to USD CAD, only a bit more explosive and a lot more pips. Obviously, USD CAD very, very heavily traded, a popular pair. A major pair, but if you're looking for a pair that moves a little bit quicker, a bit more pips, actually a lot quicker, I shouldn't say a little bit, a lot quicker, USD ZAR could be a pair to look into. So now onto the analysis for this one. So I'm looking at this resistance here on the daily chart where we just placed that big wick to the upside there on the left, giving us that major high. If I zoom out, as you can see, and our price is still trading at this area. So USD ZAR is trading at a very, very important level in the higher time frames, daily, weekly, monthly, very key area where if we can hold, we could look to roll over. If not, we might see this start to fly again to the upside. And I do have some upside targets here on the left, if I just highlight them out, where we stopped there for a few days, and also the high up here where we wicked and then dropped. So 16.6 and 17.1. If we do clear this level here, retest it, then I would expect price to head higher, and then we can start trading into those levels. If not, and we can throw some more wicks into this level, I do think we can see a decline there for USD ZAR, and we do have a really nice support level here to aim for. So USD ZAR is trading at a very key level, but you can see on the 4H time frame we're kind of trading above that. So you want to see price break back underneath this level, throw some wicks to the upside, and that will be a nice area to get your short entries from for a sell to the downside. But if we don't, and we start throwing wicks to the downside into that level, we most likely will continue higher. And like I said, 16.9 and then so on and so forth, 17.7, 17.1 there as well, but we'll just look for 16.9 for 16.6 for next week. So that is the plan for USD ZAR. We're trading at a key level, so it just depends what price does. Hard to tell what we will do next, because you could easily break back underneath, or we could easily retest it and fly. So you just have to be, ready to react to what price gives you. But if you do get back underneath, looking for a drive lower to 15.7, could go a lot lower, but for next week we'll look at that support, and if you hold that as support there, looking for the buys into 16.6. so that is the plan there for USD ZAR for next week.
Okay guys, so that is the end of the video. Hope you all enjoyed that, found that useful. Again, like always, any questions, didn't understand anything, let me know in the comments down below, or even share your own bias, your own opinions. Where do you think the market is going next? Let me know. More than happy to respond back to you guys. If you are enjoying the content though, leave a like, subscribe, share, hit the bell, all that good stuff. Comment, really does help the channel out, and it keeps you guys in the loop as well for more videos in the future. But I hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you all in the next one.